Hello peoples! So I actually recorded this video with Facecam yesterday. Spent a whole lot of time doing that, and then some stuff happened and I ended up accidentally deleting the footage completely. It is gone forever and there is no way to retrieve it. But I need to upload a video this week and I am traveling tomorrow, so I need to figure out a way to upload a video, and I have no time to, do my makeup and get everything ready and stuff like that. So let's just do a normal voiceover. Sorry about that. So this is also one of those shells that I made a long time ago. This is from December of 2021. It's been a long time. Like all the other builds, I don't really remember how I felt or what were my biggest struggles. I can only tell you what I remember and what I could tell from looking through the footage. This is a really big build with a lot of rooms, and it actually only took me 4 hours to make. If you remember from the previous build that I uploaded here on YouTube, it took me more than 7 hours to make, and that build was a lot smaller in comparison to this one. So even though I was on vacation, I didn't have time to make it how I wanted it to be. I didn't have dedicated amount of time for this build. You know how you have to spend time with family and your parents are always asking you to do stuff around the house. So I didn't have lots of time for this. If you check my footage here, there's 4 different videos. The last one, the screenshots when I finally finished it, were taken after midnight. So you can kind of see when I had time to make this build. But anyways, in regards to this build, what I think about it, what it's supposed to be, I think it's some kind of manor or mansion for someone like a duke, somebody who has a high status, high social status. And that's why there's lots of different rooms with different utilities. There's the waiting room, there's the library, there's a music room, dance floor, a bar, there's the hobby lounges basically, and there's also a movie theater. So they have lots of money to spend because they have this higher social status. I think that here in this house there lives a husband and a wife and their 2 teenage daughters, and as you can tell, as you will see throughout this build, I really do think that they have lots of money. They're able to spend their money with things like marble and stone and statues and things like that, because they do have to show off their status to others. One thing that I would like to share with you is that the Realm of Magic pack has really pretty windows. They really came in handy in this build. They're really decorated and they look fancy. Unfortunately, Realm of Magic only has 3 windows. It's really too bad that they didn't make more. If they had made different sized windows, it would have been perfect. So I really did have to reuse the same window multiple times. They're still really pretty and I'm glad that we have those windows. So yeah, if you need fancy windows, you need stuff to make your building look richer, the Realm of Magic is definitely the pack for you. Now it would have been great to have a corner piece for the bookshelf. You will see in the library that I have 2 walls with bookcases, and there is really nothing you can do in that corner. If you try to put another bookcase in there, it just doesn't quite look right. So it ended up just being an empty space. I put a chair down or something like that just to fill in that space. But if there had been a corner piece, that would have been great. I know that in real life that is not very practical to have that corner for the bookcase, because it's not very functional. It's kind of weird to figure out how to store your books in the corner, but aesthetically speaking, it's a great option that I wish I had. I do imagine that the reading room is used primarily by the mother. I think this is her room where she spends her free time. Doesn't mean that the other people can't spend time there. Obviously, there's other places for people to sit as well, but I just imagine that she likes to come and lay down on the couch and read her favorite book. As for the kitchen, it probably has a lot of servants. That's why there is all of that counter space, because since there's lots of people in there, you need lots of space for people to, do their stuff. They're probably going to be cooking banquets and large meals for the guests and things like that. So a a large kitchen with lots of counter space is very important. I did try to put the get to work thing for like the restaurant, where it basically like makes a hole in the wall where somebody outside can get what's in the kitchen without getting inside. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but you know what I'm talking about. I tried putting it there, but it was just way too large and it was kind of ugly, so I just scratched that. Now here's one thing that's like a tip, I guess, but the Queen Anne filter was super helpful for me, especially on my tight schedule, because I just had to put that filter on and it would only show me stuff that are Queen Anne related, the Queen Cordelia and stuff like that, you know, the style. It really narrowed down my search. I didn't have to go through the whole catalog to find what I wanted. I could just look through the few options that it showed. I do know that the filter system in The Sims is kind of messed up. It sometimes includes stuff that shouldn't be there, or it doesn't include things that should, so maybe I missed out on some options that I didn't see, but because of my tight schedule, that was what I had to do. It was the best option for me, and it really does save you a lot of time, because it really just gave me like 3 options for couch, a couple options for stools and things like that, instead of having to look through the whole catalog. You'll notice that in the music room there's a whole different array of instruments, and I do imagine that all of the family members play multiple instruments. I don't think it's just something like one person has one instrument and then that's it. I think everybody knows how to play a couple of those instruments. Basically they share with each other, I guess. Like in my family, for example, all of us know how to play the piano, all of us know how to play the recorder, and then we also have our own individual instruments. Like I play the violin, my brother plays the French horn, my dad plays the flute. So I kind of imagine the same situation where everybody shares the instruments. I do wish though that I could have such a fancy movie room like the one I made here. It's really like a real theater with that huge screen and all. The room is a little bit narrow, so I guess you're like really close to the screen, but you can imagine it to be a little bit better, but it's still really fancy, you can't deny that. And I ended up putting popcorn machines and the fondue, and I think I also put the tea and coffee maker. One thing about me, I love popcorn a whole lot. When I say this, most people don't quite understand just how much, so you're gonna have to imagine with me just how much popcorn I eat. For me to give you an example, I went to my friend's house, I think for the first time for a movie night. This was in high school, so we were both like basically teenagers. I went to her house for movie nights with her family, and she made a really big bowl of popcorn that was supposed to be shared by basically everybody. And since I was, the guest, they put the bowl next to me, and everybody got little small bowls that like they didn't have to be constantly reaching to get it from the big bowl. Basically everybody else just got a couple of handfuls and then that was it. But I ate the entire bowl. I finished that boy up. I really ate everything, and if my friend had made more popcorn, I would have eaten more. And so that was the first time my friend really understood just how much I love popcorn. This kind of situation has happened to me a couple of times. Every time that I eat like popcorn for the first time with somebody else, they are really amazed at how much popcorn I eat. Because like for example, my friend made all that popcorn so that there would be leftovers, but there weren't any because I ate everything. So every time I make popcorn for myself, I always make a really big bowl just for me. I love popcorn a lot. Since this is a large build and there is that big kind of like lobby room in 2 floors, I was able to put a lot of those huge activities that you have like nowhere else to put. Sims is very well known for its huge items. Well, I had the opportunity to finally use them. I was able to put in a pinball machine and all those other activities that you just really don't have anywhere to put. I did try to put the bowling alley, but it did not fit. The bowling alley was excluded from the group, but besides that, I was basically able to put all of those other big activities because of all the space that I had, and it also means that I have to worry less about filling in the space. But I think that these like hobby rooms, hobby lobbies, I guess, stuff are used by both the children and the adults. I don't think it's just something for the kids to have fun. I think everybody can enjoy these activities. So like you can invite your friends over and play, not just children inviting their friends, the adults as well can invite their friends and have like a game night or things like that. Now the bathrooms, they're really posh, they're really fancy with all that marble and the gold and all of that stuff. I think I would feel bad about pooping in them. I would feel like I was defiling the bathroom or something like that because it's just so fancy. It doesn't feel like it's supposed to be used, you know? It feels like it's supposed to be just a display. Here's one tip that I have for you, and that is to try to make your own rugs. You know how I'm always complaining about having a hard time with the rugs in The Sims? They're either too big or too small, or they're too colorful, or they're too plain. Well, if you can't find a rug in the size that you want, in the color that you want, maybe you can try just making your own rug. You can go to the flooring and just drag it on the floor to the size that you want it, and ta-da! The carpet flooring will probably look better as a rug because obviously it has that rug kind of texture. It's hairy. And if you want to make it even a little bit more realistic, you can do what I did in this build where I put the kind of floor decals. I don't remember exactly what they're called, but yeah, it's just to add that trim there just to make it look a little bit more realistic and not just that you changed the color of the floor. This game also has some other like rugs that you can customize, but those usually are more runner styles, like they're really skinny, and when you try to put them like next to each other to make it 2 tiles wide instead of 1, it doesn't quite look as good because it has borders and things like that, but depending on your situation you could definitely use that as well. Now, because of the lack of time that I had, I couldn't really decorate very much. Like compared to my other builds, you might notice that this house looks a lot more empty than my other builds, and that's really just because I didn't have time to decorate. There's basically no clutter or like those decorations. Like I don't think I put any paintings on the walls. I basically just put statues and flowers just to fill in the space and to make it look fancy. I was basically just able to put the basics to make the rooms look presentable. So the house doesn't really look lived in, it's just fancy and expensive. You know, it doesn't really feel homey. It doesn't feel like people actually spend time there and have, you know, toothbrushes and towels and like books and things like that. It just looks a little bit bare, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it's just because putting decorations takes a long time because you have to go through the catalogs and try to find something that fits into your space and that fits into your vibe. It takes time, and also it takes time to place them exactly where you want, because sometimes, most of the time when you're putting clutter down, you don't just want to put it where it defaults to, where it clips to. Most of the time you want to adjust it a little bit, use the move objects option to like rotate it a little bit this way, put it a little bit in the corner of another place so that you can put more things in one space. Like it takes a long time to make it look nice. So that's why this house looks a little bit empty in that regard. Even though they have lots of money, I wasn't able to make that a reality by having trinkets and knickknacks and things like that, which I definitely think that these people would have. Maybe in the future I might go through this build again and add those stuff back. Let me know if you're interested in watching that. Here's another tip for you: the use of platforms. Platforms are very handy to make different shapes. You will see in the front when I was making the stairs, I had to join basically 3 platforms together to get the shape, and really platforms are really great for that because you can basically make any shape that you want. You make the shapes, the angles and stuff individually, and then you place them together and it makes one big block. Platforms really are a useful tool, not just for making different levels on the floor, but also to make shapes and things like that. The stairs were not exactly what I wanted, but it was close enough. I think it looks fine, it looks good, and it fits into the house, but I really did not have the time to actually figure out how to execute my vision, so that was the closest I could get to what I wanted. This lot that I placed this house down ended up being way too too small for what I had in mind. There is basically no front yard or backyard. It's just like a couple of squares. It's really very narrow. I didn't really know what I was gonna do with that build until I actually placed the house down and I looked at it. So I really had no idea how much space I needed or anything like that until I was close to the end, basically. And it ended up being a really good thing because I didn't have the space to do much of anything because there was no space in the front yard, nor was there space in the backyard to do pretty much anything. So it did save me a lot of time. I do think that the backyard is definitely a perfect spot for couples, not just teenage couples, but also married couples, the adults. And it does remind me of The Sound of Music. If you know, you know. The gazebo and just the way that their backyard is. I feel like I probably was subconsciously inspired by The Sound of Music when I was decorating the backyard. I really feel like it's a romantic place to spend time with your loved ones. The chandelier situation was really complicated. Putting something in between two floors in The Sims is really hard. It's like they just don't want you to do that. They don't want you to put stuff between floors. Windows, I think in particular, are literally impossible to place in between floors. It literally does not let you. So I wanted the chandelier to be in between, like I wanted it to be hanging from the ceiling at the top of the stairs, but the way that it places down automatically, it's way too low. It would be, hitting people on the head. So I wanted it to be hanging basically from the second floor, a little bit from that space, from the stairs, that open space from the stairs. But it was just not working at all. Every time I clicked on the chandelier, it would move itself so far away. I had to move my mouse to the furthest position as possible to try to get it. It was just not working. So unfortunately, I had to scratch it. Maybe if I had more time, I would have been able to solve that problem, but I unfortunately had to scratch that option. Here is my opinion, although my opinion might not be relevant anymore because, like I've mentioned before, I haven't really played The Sims in a long time, so I'm not really up to date with all of the items that are available in the build mode nowadays. But from what I remember, from what I understand, I think that we need more hanging lights that aren't huge. When you're trying to put some nice lights that are hanging from the ceiling, but they're not touching the table. If you want to put something on top of the dining room table, you want it to not be stuck to the ceiling, but you also don't want it to be touching the floor. I know that we could solve this problem kind of by using the medium height walls, but you also know that with the medium height walls, it makes the rooms look a lot bigger, and that means that you need to put a lot more things on the walls to make it look less empty. So the small sized walls usually are the best option for making the house look more homey. Maybe we should be able to have those hanging lights that can be used with the small walls. And since this house is so big, it takes me a long time to go over everything and to make sure that everything is in the right place. At least that's how I do it. I go through all the rooms, make sure that I didn't miss anything, that there's nothing that I accidentally misplaced or things like that. And also, I am a little bit of a perfectionist and I do strive for symmetry, so it takes a long time to go through all the lights, make sure that they're exactly in the middle of the room or exactly where I want it to be. Being a perfectionist is not really a plus, especially in this situation. So yeah, it does take a long time to make sure that things are okay. And another tip, that's detail of adding the dirt around the house and around the stuff that's on the ground. Outside, obviously, I'm talking about in the yard. It really does make a difference. It is almost like a hack to make your builds look much more polished. It's like adding another layer of depth. Just like how when you're drawing or painting or something like that, when you add another layer of shadows and of highlights, it really makes your drawing pop. It really makes that big of a difference. And in The Sims, it goes from looking like a beginner build to looking like a professional build, basically. It really is an underused tool, I think. And speaking about underused tools, I think the terrain tools in general are really underrated. Most people, when they talk about the terrain tools, they will talk about how hard it is and it's hard to understand and stuff like that, but I think that we all should learn how to use it more. I specifically want to learn how to use use them more. There is one build that I was working on that I did try to experiment with the frame tools to make one place of the lot to go up, another go down, and things like that. I really want to learn how to use it to like make pawns, to make different levels in your build. I think it's something that we all should learn how to use more, and it will really up your build game in The Sims. Now, just to let you know, the next shell challenge video that I will be uploading is the last pre-recorded one that I have from ages ago. I have a couple of ideas of things that I want to do in the future. Maybe I can show you some of my builds that I've done before. Maybe I can build new stuff with you. But if you guys have any shell challenge recommendations, if you have any other types of build challenges that you want me to try out, feel free to let me know. You can write that in the comments and I will be really happy to check those out. I'm open to trying anything. This will not be the end of the shell challenges. My shell challenge videos are the ones that do almost the best in this channel, so I should not stop making those videos because I don't want to lose that viewership. But yeah, please let me know if there's anything you would like to see from me. Now that we're getting close to the end of this video, I have to say my goodbyes. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for checking this video out. If you've watched this video till the end, thank you so much. It means a lot to me. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I hope that you've also enjoyed my other videos that I've uploaded. Make sure to check out my other videos, not just the Sims videos. I love the Papa Louie's games and I'm sure most of you will love it too, so check that out if you're interested. But anyways, thank you once again for being here and I will see you next time. Bye bye!